Hi, this is Dr. John Bergduff. In this video, we're going to look at some applications of decimals. In particular, I want to show you a couple of examples of applications that involve decimals that can be solved by setting them up as proportions. This is not the only way that these particular questions we're going to look at today can be solved, but it is one way that I think you might really like. Let's do two examples. Here's the first one. Currently, €1 exchanges for 1.06 US dollars. Or in symbols, €1, that's the symbol for euro, is equal to $1.06. A bottle of wine costs 25.32 euros in France. How much is this in dollars? Let's take the exchange rate and write it as a ratio. If €1 exchanges for 1.06 US dollars, we can write that as a fraction of €1 over 1.06 US dollars, taking that exchange rate and making a ratio out of it. And because this would need to be proportional, the ratio that we would also get if we compare the bottle of wine in euros versus dollars should be equal. Now, we know the bottle of wine costs 25.32 euros. We don't know how much that is in dollars, so let's just say X dollars. The ratio of €1 to 1.06 dollars should be equal to the ratio between 25.32 euros and X dollars. And as you can see, this then creates a proportion. Now, for the purposes of solving the equation, we can ignore all the unit symbols for now and just remember that when we're done, the value of X will represent dollars. Proportion problems, as you know, can be solved by cross-multiplying. So if I multiply this way, and again ignoring the symbols, I'd have 1 times x. 1 times x is x. Multiplying the other direction, again ignoring the units, we would be looking at 1.06 times 25.32. I'm going to get my calculator out for that and do that multiplication real quick. 1.06 times 25.32. That's going to give me the following value for x. X is 26.8392. Then at some point we remember that we're looking for dollars. And money only makes sense if you round off to the nearest cent. So let's take that 26.8392 and round that off to $26.84, including the dollar unit. And we now know that the cost of this bottle of wine in US dollars would be $26.84. A nice decimal problem that can be modeled as a proportion. Here's another example. It's quite different, but again, it can be modeled as a proportion. The gas mileage on my Toyota Corolla is typically about 33 miles per gallon. How much gasoline will I need for a trip to Austin about 200 miles away? The miles per gallon could also be expressed as a ratio. What it is telling me is that I can drive 33 miles on 1 gallon of gas, so that if I need to drive 200 miles, because this would be proportional, I ought to be able to figure out how many gallons of gas I would need for that. Miles to gallons equals miles to gallons. The gallons are unknown. We'll call that X. And again, in the solving of the problem, we can leave off the units until the very end when we remember that the value of X would be the number of gallons you need to drive to Austin. we now have a proportion problem. One ratio equal to another results in a proportion. We can multiply this way, and that would give me 33 times x. And we can multiply this way, and 1 times 200 would give me 200. 33x equals 200. Now to solve for x, I know that I could divide both sides by 33, and then getting my trusty calculator to help me again. 200 divided by 33 would give me, rounded off to 2 decimal places, x is equal to 6.06. And then looking back at the previous page to make sure what x was, that represents gallons. So I am going to need 6.06 gallons to drive to Austin. So that's 2 nice questions involving decimals, both of which can be solved using techniques we know about proportions, a powerful technique that you might consider using from time to time.